This is the Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to St. Matthew. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the harvest." Then Jesus summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to cure every disease and every sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Cananean, and Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: "Go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without payment, give without payment. Take no gold, no silver, or copper in your belts, no bag for your journey, or 2 tunics, or sandals, or a staff, for laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who in it is worthy and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet it. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly, I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. See, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. Beware of them, for they will hand you over to councils and flog you in their synagogues, and you will be dragged before governors and kings because of me, as a testimony to them and the Gentiles. When they hand you over, do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say, for what you are to say will be given to you at that time. For it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise against their parents and have them put to death. And you will be hated by all because of my name. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. When they persecute you in one town, flee to the next, for truly I tell you, you will have not gone through all the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes." The Gospel of the Lord. To sort of change tracks, Psalm 137, which is not the psalm we did today, is one of the most poignant songs of lament within the Psalms, and one that really resonates with me. It begins, and you probably already remember it, "By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, and there we wept when we remembered Zion. On the willows there we hung our harps, for there our captors asked us for songs, and our tormentors asked for mirth, saying, 'Sing us one of the songs of Zion.' How could we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land?" This psalm is the plaintive cry of exile. It asks, who can we be when all that is familiar to us is snatched away? I believe that for many of us, these past few months have felt like that, like exile. And it is clear that too many would rather live in denial than try to forge a different life in this new land we find ourselves in. But just as God was present in the exile, God is present with us now and showing us blossoms of hope and grace in this time and in this place. And even as we lament our exile and long for return, we have seen that many of our neighbors are not lamenting exile, but instead they long for exodus. They have lifted their cries to their Lord, their cries of frustration and anger. And though it has seemed for so long that those cries have fallen into the wells of silence, they have been heard. They have been heard by God. And God is acting just as God acted with the Israelites in bondage in Israel. God is opening eyes and softening hearts so that all his people might breathe free and live secure in their liberty. And it is good for us to be reminded too that this Exodus is not a simple and clean process. It was messy and difficult and confounding and surely sometimes too slow. Pharaoh's heart remained hardened throughout the trials of the plagues, and he desired more than anything that Israel should remain in bondage. And today there are still those, some with great authority and power, who also would desire that our brothers and sisters of color should remain, if not literally in bondage anymore, then at least in a less than status in every way that counts. The work of freedom for the Israelites was not completed in the Exodus. And the work of freedom in our land was not completed in the Emancipation Proclamation or the 13th Amendment. It was not wrapped up by the Supreme Court or Martin Luther King Jr. It was not completed with the election of Barack Obama. The work of freedom remains unfinished. But it is God's desire that it be complete so that we can be sure it will be done. And we can commit ourselves to working with God as agents and allies of freedom. Or we can weep within our own laments or stand idly by or even stand against God. But God's will be done on this earth just as it is in heaven. We have asked for this day of the Lord, this day of freedom in our every prayer. Let us not falter at the moment of its coming. Let us not fear what freedom will bring. Know that freedom will cast us into an unknown place, a wilderness, just like the Israelites in their Exodus, where we, like they, will be tempted to give up what we have longed for. But know that God will remain, that our paths will be marked by God's invitation, that something new and better, a place of abundance, awaits us on the other side. So let us lift our voices and sing. Let us sing God's songs, songs of God's promise and presence. Let us sing the songs of freedom. Thanks be to God.